Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. I am not gay. Before you see my videos on Deuteronomy 29, it's important that you understand that they provoked me and fueled me heavily before I made them. Okay? They caused me to have cognitive impairment to the extreme, and it's still carried over a bit right now. So, one thing that people don't seem to understand, and they're kind of making fun of them and their groups, their races, what have you, is that I'm Christ. No matter how I talk, you're supposed to listen to me. If I'm on a cross with a crown of thorns on my head and I'm struggling to speak, you're supposed to listen to me. If I'm in the hospital and I'm drugged, you're still supposed to listen to me. If somebody slips some kind of poison in my food and you're still supposed to listen to me, not to the people who are doing it or their allies or the people they allow to talk to you without being interfered with. Those people are called privileged cowards. Those people are called co-conspirators, perpetrators, oppressors. Those who are scattering instead of gathering with me. They're doing God's work, they would point to me. They wouldn't try to speak on God's behalf themselves. They would point to me. The Bible says you have one teacher. That is the Messiah. That's me. Pretty straightforward. So, before I talk about the Jews and the whites and their issues, okay, I want to remind you again that I'm part white, part Jewish, but the dominant genes are black, but I'm not racist. I just tell the truth here. Every race as a race, okay, in terms of generally speaking, okay, has issues. Every race that's one race, without exception, has some kind of issues right now. Every single last one of them. Whether it's high blood pressure, cognitive impairment, autism rates, okay, they have some kind of problem that's preventing them from finding their way to me and obeying God through me. And it's more than just not knowing I'm here. They all have issues. The white Jew and LGBT communities have a spectrum that goes into the governing class that rules over you, and they try to elevate their races above and their groups above other groups because they have shared characteristics and more often than not shared cultural values. So that's why I'm going to talk about the various issues of Jews and whites in this video. That and the fact that they tried to play me out like an idiot in the videos you're going to see after this on my Deuteronomy playlist. If you watch the whole thing, that is. Or if you watch those videos at least. So, Jews tend to have higher rates of autism. They have higher rates of brain disorders than any race I've ever seen. And I've studied the races as part of my research. I zoomed in on white people, various types of Asians, right? Various types of whites, obviously. Various types of black people, right? Jamaicans, Haitians, Trinidad, Tobago, black people living in England, black people in Africa, West Africa, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, East Africa, you name it. African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, black people in Canada. I've zoomed in on the races from all over the world, and never have I seen a race that has more mental impairment, naturally, if you want to call it that, than Jews. And I'm not saying this to insult them, but I'm making it fair. I have to restore the divine order. That's me on top. If the race that has the highest rate of mental impairment tries to argue that they're chosen and they're above the top martial arts ever possible, what is the top martial arts ever possible's duty at that point? To point out that why they're wrong, right? So it's not racist. If you think it's racist, put in the comments immediately. It's not racist for me to point out that Jews have the highest rates of mental impairment, even after all the sabotage of African Americans and black people abroad. They have the highest rates of mental impairment. Naturally, they're autistic. Look at Orthodox Jews in the videos in New York or in Europe, okay, in Germany, in England, in Israel. Look at LGBT Jews in Tel Aviv, or LGBT Jews leading the gay movements abroad, right, in Australia, in Hollywood, in Seattle, in Atlanta, so on and so forth. Be it crypto black Jews, crypto white, crypto Asian, okay. The other day, it was just yesterday, I saw a crypto Jewish Indian, I believe he's a billionaire from California. You could tell he was impaired mentally. The reason why nerds are called foolish and contemptible historically is because they quite often have some kind of disorder that causes them to fixate. Jews have all kinds of developmental disorders. And I'm not saying this to be racist or to insult them, but to help you understand why they're persecuting me in a racist manner. Because they have false pride and they have developmental disorders. And that's part of why they're hacking people's brain and breeding a bunch of people, because they think that it makes their life better. It does not, mind you, if they mess up everyone else's brains as well. And I'm not saying this to be racist. If you think that, you're an idiot. Am I mad at them? Yes, I'm mad at everybody, and according to their deeds, according to what groups they attach themselves to, and their individual deeds. For example, if you're a child molester who just molested one child, is it the same as if you're part of a child molesting network and you've molested 100? Or you just helping people who've molested thousands and you only molested one child? No, those are three different situations and three different judgments. And so, yes, I am angry, very angry, at people according to their deeds and according to what groups they've attached themselves to. Fair enough? Now, I once dated, my last girlfriend actually had cerebral palsy. You think I spent all day making fun of her? I wouldn't in my wildest dreams do that. No way, no how. I'm saying this because it has to be said, and every Jewish person with any sense would know immediately it has to be said. Whether they agree that I'm not racist or not, they would know that it has to be said. You get these English people. Quite often, their face turns red and they look like they're outside, they're in the cold, and they're flustered, they're flushed. And they look at you like, some of them, they look at you like Pinky from Pinky and the Brain. Again, there are people who are weird from every race. That's not what this is about. I hope the English and the Jews and everyone else does the right thing. And they're thrown off. And they say, oh, bugger! And they say things like that historically. I say, oh, yes, that's what we're doing today. Okay? And they act funny. And some are very bitter, like Skeletor, bitter. Okay? Now, it's a sad day when we let the fact that people have issues get in the way of doing God's work. It's a sad day when we let the fact that you should explain when people have issues and get in the way of God's work, one way or another. Okay, they're making it hard for me to talk now. But you ever heard the saying that the emperor has no clothes? Should you not tell him? Is his enemy the guy says, sir, you're naked on stage? Is that, execute him immediately? Or is his enemy the guy who's like, no, just pretend he's doing great. Yeah, right on, buddy. And lead his kid to do the same. Better is open rebuke than love that is concealed. And the Jews need to accept in their hearts, as fast as they can, that they are not chosen. That encouraging them by saying they are is not helping them. The reason why they're not chosen has nothing to do with the color of their skin, has nothing to do, or little to nothing to do with what continent they originate from. We all come from Africa, but in what other sense? I know that being from the Middle East in that sense or whatever. It has everything to do with people who worked hard to do what's right every generation versus people who didn't. That's the reason. You can write a book from your group all day, every day. You write 1 million books and say all these books agree. And all these people think we're chosen. That doesn't mean a damn thing. You can say, well, I believe them and you better believe them too. That doesn't mean a damn thing. You know them by their works, not by what books testify in their favor or don't, but by their works. We know by the situation here that God would not choose the Jews to rule over everyone else now or 1 million years in the future, because people are in a situation where no sane person would reproduce. Not black, not white, not Jewish, not green, nobody. It's time to stop reproducing, and everyone should stop pretending X, Y, and Z. Just tell the truth. The way is the truth and the life. I've thrown in with God. I'm all the way. I've put myself out there. The videos after this in the series, I sound like a babbling idiot at points. Because they're Babylon mystery, put a mist over Eri, the son of God, not Eri, the deity of chaos from Greece. Okay, they want to put a mist and confuse who the top martial artist is. They want to confuse women. You all know damn well there's people from every race. They want to confuse you about what ideal is because they want to trick women into bed, trick children into bed, you name it. That's what's going on here. They're trying to confuse you, and they don't think for a moment. They don't think that there are hundreds of millions of gold-digging sluts out there, fair weather, dumb bitches. No matter what anyone says, they're still going to date like a dumb bitch. So why interfere with me and mine? And this is not just about women here. This is about doing God's work. I come from above. I come from God's right hand. God forged me in the spiritual realm. While my flesh was being formed here, my soul was being placed into my flesh by God. And how I enjoy a relationship with a woman, first and foremost, is by putting God first. There's no point in having sex with them if I'm not putting God first. There's no point in going on a date or kissing them or holding them, because that's some kind of worm, sissy spirit that a true man does not accept. I urge you all to realize that I'm right. I urge the Jewish community to set aside whatever angry feelings they have toward me and to realize that these things have to be said. I do not hold it against somebody if there's something wrong with them. I hold it against them if they refuse to admit that and pretend that they're chosen and give people a hard time. If that person repents in time and they atone and they make amends, then I will forgive them. If the Jews sin against you, rebuke them. If they repent in time in a way that's valid, and you forgive them.